We are Pakistan. We are Islamic Republic. Part 13. Sayyid Ahmed's success in mobilizing a large army alarmed the Sikh, who sent trained and disciplined troops against his volunteers. At the same time, there were constant disagreements in his army over military tactics. He discovered that the faith that united Muslims was not enough to overcome the other differences that divided them. Local chieftains were not happy at being told what to do, and one of them, Yar Muhammad of Peshawar, and his brother Sultan Muhammad were strongly opposed to Sayyid Ahmed's ideas. When Sayyid Ahmed tried to collect taxes, angry tribesmen who had never before paid taxes to anyone turned on his men, killing many of them. Weakened by this lack of support, Sayyid Ahmad was driven back by the Sikh ruler Maharaja Ranjit Singh's army to Kashmir. He was killed in battle at Balakot during a surprise attack and is buried there. Why did Sayyid Ahmad fail? We can identify four main causes for Sayyid Ahmad's failure: confirmed by superior military force, confronted by superior military force. Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Sikh army was the superior military forces that they confronted. Divisions amongst the Muslims, lack of support for his ideals, disagreement over taxes. Looking ahead, this was not the end of the armed struggle. Future Muslim activists looked on Sayyid Ahmad as a hero, and the idea of a separate state where Muslims could practice their faith grew from here. The British, as they took control of the land, were always fearful of the similar uprisings. There would be other Indians of all faiths who were prepared to fight their enemies in the name of their religions. Haji Shariatullah and the Faraizi movement. Haji Shariatullah was born in 1781 in Faridpur, Bengal. He lived in Arabia 1799 to 1818. He led the Faraizi movement in East Bengal 1818 to 1840. He died in 1840. How did Haji Shariatullah persuade people to return to their religion? Muslims living in poor conditions in East Bengal were greatly encouraged by the leadership of Haji Shariatullah. Until 1750s they had been ruling class, but then their status declined as the British took over, working closer with the zamindar than their status the working closely with the zamindar, the landowners, and tax collectors, who were by the 1800s nearly all Hindus. The Muslims were mistreated by their British rulers and oppressed by the zamindars. Their miseries were increased by the cyclones and famines that frequently affected East Bengal. The Faraizi movement emerged to confirm both the British and the Hindus, as both were Faraizi movement as both were considered to be the enemies of the Muslims and were blamed for their misfortune. Haji Shariatullah, who had spent nearly 20 years away in Arabia and was deeply influenced by the teachings of Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, returned to Bengal and founded the Faraizi movement. He urged Muslims, especially those in the rural areas, to give up non Muslim practices such as Hindu superstitions and ideas and instead strictly follow the commandments of their religion known as farais or duties. They could thus resist the growth of the Hindu influence as well as the spread of British and Christian ideas and once more be worthy of respect and be able to improve their lives. It was a peaceful movement. The many Muslims who followed his teachings became known as Farizis. A major concern was that under British rule, which he likened to a state of war, it was not possible for Muslims to practice Eid and Friday prayers properly.